Haokip, you heard Rami. She's saying that you also the people, the Kuki community also has to overcome the feeling of being left out. The feeling of being othered and all, because both sides have suffered. So it just cannot be just one community or the narrative, one community gaining dominance over the entire thing. How do you respond to that?
Can you tell me one thing about what the Meiteis are, being, not gaining or anything? Then I can answer. And let me first respond to Dr. Rami's claim that Meiteis were scheduled since colonial times. There was no such things as scheduling during the colonial times. There were tribals. There were Meiteis in the valley, Hindu Meiteis in the valley. That's what old colonial ethnography and others talks about. So there's nothing such as scheduling during the colonial period. It's only started with 1950 when the Indian government tried to schedule the tribes. So that is something that as an academic we should try to find out first. And secondly, I've also already reiterated that the movement of population due to ethnic conflicts, right, from the northern side to the southern side by the Kukis, that has never been taken into account. But that's a fact. If you compare into the census of districts, from 1991 to 2001, you would find that. And there is an article which I've already published in my journal called Journal of Northeast India Studies, which was written by S. Thangboijo, who is a scholar, postdoc scholar in Delhi University, and now teaching in a Manipur college. So we have to look into those, and what are the grievances that the Meiteis have? I've already pointed out that they rejected to be scheduled in a tribal or backward list way back in 1953. So they rejected the tribal, take way back then. So what is the point? Why is it that they are putting out this demand in the last 10 years? There are various reasons, perhaps, maybe, but there is already a tribal policy in place for the last 60 years, and those principles cannot be compromised. And the hill communities are very much sensitive about it. And as a community that has been amassing the huge funds that came from Delhi. There are so many developmental activities, all the institutions from the universities to medical institutions. Everything, almost everything is placed in Imphal. They have all this infrastructure. The hills are lacking, except few colleges and district headquarters. So this thing has to be taken into account. And can I? Yeah. Can you tell me what are the grievances of the majority community? Yes,
Rami, you wanted to respond.
Yes, Brijesh, I don't think Dr. Haokip understood what I said. The fact is that they were listed as tribes under the British government. The fact is that they say, this is their claim, that till the scheduled listing happened and till the processes took place, they didn't realize for a while the kind of benefits that they would be losing. Therefore, the delay in their demand. So, as an academic, I think Dr. Haokip also must accept that these groups of people now that they call non-tribals were once upon a time considered tribals. Number two, when Dr. Haokip being a Kuki, and like I said, I'm completely neutral to this because I'm neither a Kuki nor a Meitei. I just have the love for the region to depend on. But Dr. Haokip, when he speaks as a Kuki, I would like to point out that when the othering of the Northeast happened, it wasn't just the Kukis that were othered, it was the entire region. And that was a fault of the governments that, were in place at that point. So considering that Assam has, delivered relative peace, Arunachal, Meghalaya, Mizoram, I think groups in Manipur too have to come to terms with the fact that this is a new era and there is a lot to be achieved now, and one has to work within consensus. Having said that, where we cannot completely say that, oh, the Meiteis have no grievances. If they didn't have any grievances, they wouldn't be fighting so hard for what they believe is theirs. This is the problem. This is exactly the problem that I have been speaking about, that civil society has to respect demands that are coming from, wherever. You can't say that the other group has, no substantial demands, because if they didn't, this wouldn't be the case today. You have to give respect to whatever, the demands are of any of the groups, maybe not necessarily to all of it, but some of it. The Meiteis, and this is very well known, and I'm surprised that I have to repeat myself. The Meiteis are concerned about the changing demographics. The Meiteis are concerned that, tribal populations have reservations in education and in jobs, which they don't. Meiteis are concerned that, there might be a shift in demography, and, as we know, hill tribes can position themselves in Imphal, but Meiteis are confined to Imphal and cannot own any land outside any in the larger part of the state. This is a matter of concern for them as well. Now, whether somebody thinks that they should be concerned about these things or these are legitimate concerns or not is a different thing. I will not go into that. But the fact that somebody has concerns has to then be addressed. And of course, I agree with Dr. Haokip that, hill areas need due development. This is a necessity, but it's not going to come in 5 years. These things take time, but these things also take time when one has achieved relative peace. How are you going to have development when there is this sort of violence that is taking place? It doesn't make sense. So nobody is saying that hill areas do not require development, that hill areas do not require attention. Of course they do. But then the protests and the demands should be for that. The protests and the demands then should not be against the Meiteis for inclusion in the scheduled tribe list.
Dr. Haokip, would you like to respond to this?
Yeah, surely. Yeah, there are claims, right? The media has claimed that they were being scheduled in the during the colonial period. They have to show that. As an academic, I would like to find that claim, because if there's nothing, then claims cannot be true. So they have a 1,000-year-old civilization, and they are proud that they have a written script. They have this script. They have this language. All these things has been put in place for the last many years. So while you are being so proud of your script, your kingdom, your history, then coming out of nowhere that they have been scheduled in the tribe, I think that's something that doesn't make sense. And of course, there is othering of the Northeast as a whole, which I have been writing, several times. For instance, during COVID, there is othering of the Northeastern people. I have written about how this Northeastern people have been otherized during the COVID and being called as coronavirus, right? So I've been trying to address and trying to educate on legally how measures should be taken. I've been engaging on that. And when a community is maintaining a political hegemony, right, not even allowing a trifling political autonomy which has been in place in Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, how do you say that they have a grievance? This demands, for instance, I have already been pointed out in the last discussion that they have demanded inclusion of Meitei into the 8th schedule. So the Manipuri has been included into the 8th schedule language in the early 90s. We are very happy about it. I'm witness to those demands and agitations, protests, and recently they demanded inner land permit to be extended to Manipur, which the Khasi Student Union had demanded for more than 2 decades now, and they were not given. However, in Manipur, within few years of this demand, the ILP was extended in Manipur. So they have got in 2 decades, they have got two demands. But the tribals in Manipur demanded extension of 6th schedule for the last 45 years, and that has not been given to them. And now the demand has gone up to separate administration, right? That we have to understand, because they were not interested in addressing the question of the tribals in Manipur.
Well, usually, Rami, we don't do this. We are the one who ask questions. But the thing is that both of you are an expert. And would you like to respond to? I mean, this is the best scenario which I am facing as an anchor right now. Is both of you people responding. Would you respond to what what Dr. Haokip is saying?
Dr. Haokip has made some very good points, and there's no way I can disagree with him in certain certain points that he has made. Having said that, I have to stand by what I believe, which is that we need a larger debate, and I think that larger debate has to come with going down to the crux of the situation in terms of how far can we take these reservations. At the end of the day, we've had, and I'm sure Dr. Haokip knows about this, we've had inclusions in the scheduled tribe list of groups that were not there before in recent times. In recent times, when I mean in recent times, there's been an announcement in the last 6 months of the Hattis in Himachal. There have been the Lambadas from the Telangana, that area, who have been included in the scheduled tribe list, who may not meet Dr. Haokip's criteria of what a tribal is, but are close enough, are close enough to what the local committee stipulated. They had five characteristics that they stipulated, and they were close enough to that. Having said that, the larger debate, Brijesh, in my mind is that how far can we take reservations? Because there's always going to be one group that is going to have grievance. There's always going to be one group that is going to feel left out or feel that the other group is getting privilege. Now, this is a classic case in Manipur as well, where, maybe it's demographic change that's unnerving the other groups in the state. Maybe it is the violence, that is unnerving both sides of the groups, which is a result of this entire clash on reservations. So I think, Brijesh, without repeating myself, because I would be repeating myself, responding to Dr. Haokip on most of the issues, I would like to say the debate is larger. The debate is larger in terms of reservations. How necessary is it, and how far can we take it, and what sort of percentage of reservation can we finally have? We can't have 100% reservations. It won't make any sense. And then the fight on the reserved seats is going to become so tough that it's actually going to end up putting pressure on people, rebounding the entire reason why this was initiated in the first place. So I think that's the larger debate, Brijesh.
Exactly. Dr. Haokip?
Yeah, I would like to, respond once again to one of the claims that, the Meiteis are, have this grievance that they have no reservation in education and others. Let me just remind everyone in this panel that they have the SC reservation since, independence. Then in the 1990s, when the Mandal Commission recommended for OBC reservation, they have been included in that OBC. Now you have the EWS, which they are also eligible for that. So they have this three access of reservation. If they are included in the ST, then they will enjoy all the reservation that is available to different communities in India. So they will be the only one, the first community to enjoy all these reservations.
Rami, would you like to respond to that? Because I'm having a good time, and I don't have to enter. So I'm not the one who's complaining. Please, if you want to respond to
No, no,
what.
no.
No?
No, I agree. I agree. Dr. Haokip, is stating the facts here that they do have scheduled caste reservations. But the fact of the matter is, what they want is scheduled tribe listing, and that has, its own benefits, and that puts them, on equal stature with the rest of the populations that they live with. Now, see, I am not in any position, as I'm not a Maiti or a Kuki or a Naga or a tribal for that matter, to sit here and say no, these grievances are real, these grievances are not real. What I can say as an observer is that there will have to be some considerations on the grievances and on the demands from both the sides, and that will have to be facilitated by the government, keeping the security spectrum in mind. Nobody's going to get 100%. And we can endlessly keep talking about historical wrongs that have been done, historical ignorances, but we also, have to move forward with that ability in mind to think about the future in a way where no longer are the future generations thinking of themselves as people other than the rest of the population of India. And that psychological deficit has to be sort of overcome by us one way or another. Otherwise, this argument is never going to move forward. And for the argument to move forward, one has to discuss things as equals, and then you can sort of decide, what are the priority points, what are the negotiating points, and come to a solution. But constantly saying that, oh, these are the historical wrongdoings and this is the way we were ignored and therefore we deserve this, is not going to bear any, merit. Certainly, I don't think it's going to bear any merit in this atmosphere, which is an atmosphere of very extreme security threat.